This program contains mature content and may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
This is your host, Kendany Campbell-Moss, and we're here on Guardian Radio. Fresh news, smart talk all day. This afternoon, we're going to be joined by Dr. Nina Graham and Dr. Joseph. The conversation this afternoon is surrounded on sex. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things we could be. Let's talk about sex. We're also going to touch on abortion rights here in the islands of the Bahamas. We're going to find out exactly what it means for us. Are there going to be new legislation for abortion? What are your feelings on it? Pro, cons? How do we feel? What exactly is sex? What are the good? What are the bad? What is the actual need for sex? Dr. Miles Monroe said that men don't want sex, they need sex. So is that a gratification in and that of itself? The Bible says that the marriage bed is undefiled. This afternoon, we have Dr. Nina Graham as our first participant in this conversation. And Dr. Graham is going to talk to us along the lines of what it means for sex in a relationship, sex with women, sex with men, just what sex actually means. And we're not talking about the actual act of sex. We're talking about sex as it's related to men and to women. We're going to also piggyback off the fact that this is Heart Month. And with this being Heart Month, we're going to speak directly about how people focus on their cardiovascular health. The Division of Heart Disease and Stroke Prevention, shining a light on hypertension, blood pressure, a leading risk factor for heart disease and stroke. How does that directly use? Dr. Graham, are you with us?
Spinderella cut it up once.
Dr. Graham? Kermit, did we lose her? Dr. Graham, unmute yourself. Okay. But in the meantime, we have already have two texts coming in. Can we take the texts then? Can I read these texts, Kermit, while you get the technical difficulty sorted out? All right. So here we go. This is the very first question. And this is coming in from our very first texter this afternoon. And it reads, seriously, the difference between sexual intercourse and sex are entirely different. I find that in the Bahamas, we mix sex and sexual activity as two things. We never take a chance to learn the other person, but we want to have sex or engage in the act of sexual activity. Okay, all right, that's from reads. Where exactly is the G-spot, and why is it that so many women cannot find it? All right, Dr. Graham is saying that it says the host has to let her in, Kermit. Dr. Graham, he says that you're in. Okay, we have another text. Women use sex. Okay, women use sex as a game. That is not our conversation. We're not talking as a game today. We're talking about sexual health and as it relates to your heart. What exactly happens to the hearts of men and women? We're talking about sex. Great show, as usual. I think ground rules for this conversation because this conversation could go left super. It can really go left super quick. All right, let me read. You mentioned abortion in the Bahamas. I feel I'm within my right to do whatever I'd like to do with my body. Okay. Dr. Darville started this conversation, and this has not been brought up in a very long time. Why is abortion still even an issue in the Bahamas? I can go anywhere and get an abortion. It's not as if, though, it doesn't happen here on a regular basis. Don't we sell the overnight pill here? I'm not sure what the overnight pill is, but I know we sell Plan B. We definitely do sell the Plan B. All right, Dr. Graham is asking, should she sign back in, Kermit? Dr. Graham, he says that you should sign back in. And while you're off the air, we'll answer some more of these texts. Because this is the Bahamas, and having sex is what we do best. Having sex is what we do best? Okay, all right. Not a problem. Let me read this next. Good afternoon, ma'am. Please be advised that sex is not what it used to be. Bound to marriage, but now everyone is having sex, and it's not exactly what we use it as a ploy to get what it is that we want, both men and women. Why is it always a ploy? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing the back and forth with this particular topic? Next text reads, the only way that you should have an abortion is if you are having sex, and in that case, there may be something wrong with the child. This next text, in the cases of abortion, I think that it's only right to have an abortion. The lady in question has been molested or further to that has been raped. But if it were just my body and I were out doing things that I knew that I should not be doing, I would take the opportunity to abort the baby. One, I can't physically or financially sustain a pregnancy. And two, I would like to have my child in the confinement of a marriage. Okay. These texts are rolling in. 17 minutes into the show, and we are already hot topicing. So we're going to be right back, of course, with this hot topic, sex and abortion rights in the Bahamas. This is Kendany Campbell Moss, your host, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
Boy, you know what going down tomorrow?
Nobody what happening?
Joe bringing the knife to school, he could do Junior in.
For what?
But he fooled with Joe girl.
Mother sick. And you know Junior don't back down for nothing. So that means you got a big fight tomorrow.
So whose side you on?
Side? I trying to stay in school, not Simpson Pen. We gotta tell somebody about this fight.
Tell somebody. I ain't no snitch. I mean cool, you know.
Wait, if you so cool, then you need to stay in school and stay out of the fight.
Yeah, but if I don't hang on Joe's side, him and he boys coming for me next.
All right, so we definitely gotta tell you. We gotta prevent the fight.
What I say, I don't want nobody call me snitch.
We could just call Crime Stoppers. You could report what you know, and nobody gotta know it's you.
So how did I work?
All you gotta do is call them, or you text them through the Crack Crime Bahamas app, and nobody can know it's you.
Then the police come looking for me for more info, and when they finish with them, Joe them coming looking for me?
When you call Crime Stoppers, the call go directly to Miami, and they don't ask nothing about you. Then you can get the pen from them, and you can claim a reward later using that same pen.
Plus, everything's scrambled, so nobody can read what you're saying.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Here we go.
J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents are the best. Reliable service, we've been on the scene, protected since 1919. J.S. Johnson Insurance has the test. You're always covered me. J.S. Johnson Insurance, peace of mind.
Looking out on the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired. And when I knew I had to face another day, Lord, it made me feel so tired. Before the day I met you, life was so unkind. You're the key to my peace of mind. 'Cause you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman. When my soul was in the lost and found.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Within the sound of my voice, this is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Fresh News, Smart Talk all day. And I am your host, Kendany Campbell Moss, and the topic this afternoon is sex and abortion rights in the Bahamas. Now, we've had some technical difficulties, so hopefully Dr. Graham is in with us. Dr. Graham, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Graham, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to have you on the Hit Back with me this afternoon. How are you feeling?
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It is an absolute pleasure. Now, Dr. Graham, we spoke about the fact that this is indeed Health Month, Heart Month, and we want to talk to you this afternoon about exactly how does that correlate with women's reproduction, with the vagina. What exactly does that mean for us? Talk to me from your standpoint as a leading OBGYN in your field and tell me what that correlates to.
Well, first of all, before we get into the vagina and all of that, with February being Heart Health Month, it is important to touch a little bit on your heart and your hormones. Because women, heart disease is a big killer in women in general and in men, but specifically in women around or after the age of 50. Now, prior to the age of 50, basically women are protected from heart disease, mainly the presence of the hormones and mainly estrogens. And so nearly 50% of all deaths basically in women are due to some form of cardiovascular disease. And that is especially after the age of 50. So once women reach 50 years, the age of basically natural menopause, some experience menopause earlier and some experience it later. But normally around 50, natural menopause occurs. And so with the reduction, with that comes the reduction of your female hormones or your ovarian production of hormones. And so the estrogen level is the one that really, the estrogen is the hormone that really protects the heart prior to menopause. And of course, women who have had a hysterectomy and have taken their ovaries out, of course, they are also at risk if they got a hysterectomy with their ovaries taken out at a younger age, let's say 40 for whatever reason. So their risk is also very high because you have taken away the organ that deals with heart health. And so therefore, with no estrogens, you have an increase in heart disease in women. So that's where you have women start dying of heart attacks and so forth. So, and also too, women need to know that if they have comorbidities such as diabetes and hypertension or a family history of heart disease, then they are at an increased risk even further at menopause, and if they have these comorbidities. Also, if they smoke, if they have what we call hyperlipidemias or high cholesterol levels, high LDL or the bad cholesterol, and low levels of the good cholesterol, they increase risk in addition to being at risk due to reduced estrogens. And of course, for women, if they are obese, if they live a sedentary lifestyle or they're inactive, then of course their risk is definitely higher, along with a reduction in the estrogens that occurs around menopause.
Now,
and of course, these are things that can be changed. These are things that can be altered. But of course, the one thing that increases our risk that cannot be altered is our race. Blacks are more susceptible to developing heart disease than whites. So our race is something we can't change. And so around this time, I would really like to urge women, especially as we are at more increased risk and at the menopausal age, to try to reduce our risk of disease, given the fact that we cannot do anything at the fact that our estrogen levels have reduced. But we can do things like avoid smoking or stop smoking. We can exercise, maintain healthy weight and diet, try to keep a diet low in saturated fats, some trans fats, high fiber, eating good, fruits and vegetables, that type of thing is important. And of course, to treat any of those comorbid conditions, such as the hypertension and the diabetes, treat and control, make sure it's controlled. And for those little tips, I think women could live a lot longer. Now, some women have looked into replacing or getting estrogens, hormone replacement therapy, to try and reduce their risk of heart attacks or strokes and different things associated with heart disease. So along with the lifestyle, you can look at ways to replace your estrogens, whether it is via tablets, whether it's via in your diet. There are several ways. They have creams, they have different things where you can have hormone replacement injections for hormone replacement to reduce your risk for heart disease.
Okay, so Dr. Graham, as you were speaking, we had numerous questions that came on the text line. And these are some of the questions. This texter says, how often do people have sex? You mentioned that after the age of 50, some things change in our bodies. What is that considered? Is that considered normal? There's no amount of sex that's considered normal when there are two different types of people. So as an aged woman or a woman of a particular age, what should my sex drive be like?
Okay, at the age of 50, when your estrogen levels are responsible for increased sexual satisfaction, libido, desire, and interest and responsiveness to sex. So that's normally what estrogen does normally. So of course, if it's reduced at the age of 50, then of course, then your interests, your libido should or can be reduced. Now, I must say that even though at menopause, you have a reduction in the production of estrogens and progesterones from the ovaries, the adrenal glands are your backup. So the adrenal is supposed to take over from the ovaries. However, the adrenal gland doesn't produce the same amount of estrogens that it would have produced in a premenopausal woman. But it gives you some protection, okay? So if you had some hormonal imbalance or some hormonal issues, then that comes into play too. But generally, estrogens are responsible for libido, and they are responsible also for vaginal, to help with vaginal dryness and atrophy. And so a woman who has reduced estrogens around the menopausal stage may complain to her partner about painful sexual intercourse. So I want our audience out there to know that sometimes it's not that the woman doesn't want to have sex, but there's a reason, and a lot of men may not quite understand, but vaginal dryness and atrophy causes a very painful sex. Actually, I had a patient describe it as sandpaper rubbing against itself. Okay. That's how it feels.
All right, Dr. Okay, Graham, so we also have, are you expounding on that question still?
That's basically, yeah, my answer.
Okay, so this next question reads, and I guess all of the questions are basically geared towards the whole action of sex itself. So this texter reads, what is considered a normal amount of sex per week or per month?
I really don't think that that there's a specific amount, a normal amount of sexual intercourse. You know, I think that depends on the individual, of course, but you must know that persons who have certain conditions may not be able to have sex as much, but I really wouldn't put an amount to it. But you must know that sexual intercourse is good. You sleep better, your stress level is lower. It helps with headaches, and it helps with a whole lot of things that can be going on in a person's life. So if you need to have it every day, then I don't see anything wrong with it as long as the person is able.
Okay, Dr. Graham, this next texter says, I'm confused. If there are gels and lubes, how can a woman be dry in her special area?
Women generally can be dry. That's what I'm saying. Because of the decrease, especially in menopausal women, a decrease in estrogens. Now, for some other reason, you can have a premenopausal woman having reduced estrogen production. And so for whatever reason, that can happen. Now, the management will be your gels and your lubes. So those are helpful things to make it a bit more comfortable for the woman.
Okay, Dr. Graham, you mentioned the sexual act, and these texts are coming in quicker than I can even answer them. So the next question is, and I guess this would be a prelude to what you would have just said. The question reads, Dr. Graham, what about using items in the bedroom? Are you talking about normal sex with one partner or multiple partners? Everyone's using the rose nowadays. Is this something that's normal?
Boy, I don't even know about this rose thing.
Dr. Graham, you don't know about the rose?
Y'all schooling me, because when I first heard about this, when you said, I'm sorry, I have not even heard of this. Now, I find that a lot of persons are engaging in a whole different things, toys, mothers. I don't think that I'm the good person to speak on that. I guess it's preference for the couple, and I don't want to infringe on our listeners what my beliefs are, what I do, but I'm not sure about that. It's the preference of the patient, of the person. And can you tell me a little bit more about that person? Can they tell me a little bit more about the rose? I mean, is it something to establish orgasm, or is it something to help with the G-spot, or what is, I don't know.
Texter, you heard Dr. Graham's response. If you can text me back and let me know exactly what is the rose used for? Why is the rose such a hot button topic nowadays? What is going on with the rose? Is it replacing your partner, or is it an add-on with your partner? Dr. Graham, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be back. We're here with Kendany Campbell-Moss. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
If you're looking to diversify your portfolio, chart a course for RF Mutual Funds, where you can get global returns through our suite of internationally invested funds. Get exposure in U.S., Asian, European, and emerging markets without central bank approval. And with financial services leader Morgan Stanley as the advisor and custodian of our international funds, you can benefit from RF's global connections. Set sail for international markets today by visiting rfgroup.com. RF, money at work.
Do you know you can get your business cards designed and printed for as low as 18 cents a card? If it's a poster you want, you can pay as little as $6 a square foot. If your print needs are short or long run, digital printing, wide format, or print consultation, call the best. Call Print Masters. Print Masters' goal is to provide its clients with the highest level of personal service at an affordable price. Our state-of-the-art technology also makes working together efficient and easy. Laminations, business cards, flyers, posters, window and floor decals are just a few of the digitized print services offered at Print Masters. Call 302-2361, 302-2361, or visit us at the Nassau Guardian Building in Oaksfield. Print with the best. Print with Print Masters.
Boy, you know what going down tomorrow?
No way, what happening?
Joe bringing these knives to school. He could do Junior in.
For what?
Boy, he fooled with Joe girl.
Mother sick. And you know Junior don't back down for nothing. So that means he got a big fight tomorrow.
So whose side you on?
Side? I trying to stay in school, not Simpson Pen. We gotta tell somebody about this fight.
Tell somebody? I ain't no snitch. I mean cool, you know.
Boy, if you so cool, then you need to stay in school and stay out of the fight.
Yeah, but if I don't hang on Joe's side, how many boys coming for me next?
Alright, so we definitely gotta tell somebody. We gotta prevent the fight.
What I say, I don't want nobody call me snitch.
We could just call Crime Stoppers. You could report what you know, And nobody all you gotta do is call them or you text them through the Crack Crime Bahamas app and nobody can know it's you.
Then the police come looking for me for more info, and when they finish with them, Joe them coming looking for me?
When you call Crime Stoppers, the call go directly to Miami and they don't ask nothing about you. Then you can get the pin from them and they can claim a reward later using that same pin.
Plus, everything's scrambled, so nobody can read what you're saying.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
J.S. Johnson Insurance agents are the best. Reliable service, we've been on the scene, protecting since 1990. J.S. Johnson Insurance has the test. You're always covering me. J.S. Johnson Insurance, peace of mind.
This program contains mature content and may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Pray God you can call. I stand outside this woman's work, this woman's world. Ooh, it's hard on me. Now it's bought and sold for. Now starts the craft of the fun. Little life in you, yeah. I know you've got a lot of strength, Lord. I know you've got a little life in you, yeah. I know you've got a lot of strength, Lord.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back this afternoon and we're talking about sex and abortion rights in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We're here on 96.9 Guardian Radio, Fresh News, Smart Talk all day, and I am your host, Kendany Campbell Moss. Dr. Graham, we have two more questions left in this segment. I want to read you some of these texts. My texters, my listeners are very interesting. Great show as usual. Because of this show today, if I get my fiance pregnant today, 9 months from today, I'm sending you and your guest the bill from Doctor's Hospital. Texter, please give us a bly. We know that you are educated and uplifted and you go out there and you conquer the world, because Dr. Graham did say sex puts you in a better frame of mind and it makes your heart pump and gets you going. This next text reads, and y'all playing love music to make me and my gal go to park in the car by the nearest. Texter, we don't want you to get any tickets, okay? Dr. Graham, can you tell us from your professional perspective, what exactly is the G-spot? That is a text from one of our listeners. Tell us what the G-spot actually is.
Okay, that is usually a common question. To be quite honest, the G-spot is it's important to clarify, first of all, that it isn't an actual spot. It isn't an actual distinct, okay, because a lot of people trying to find that exact spot, okay? This so-called G-spot was discovered by a physician. Basically, she was, I guess, using her fingers on the inside of the vagina and and came across an area where she actually achieved an orgasm by stroking inside the vagina. So it is, it's actually a part of the clitoral network. So the clitoris, the clitoris is just the outside that we actually see underneath the clitoral hood. That's just one part of the clitoral network. Okay, so that's the little pea-size, we call it a little penis, is the clitoris. And it's on the inner aspect of a little hood. But the part that you can't see, as the clitoris goes inside, it divides into a network. Okay, so the G-spot is a part of that network. Okay, and the reason why women aren't getting an orgasm just by trying to look for a spot is because this area varies from one woman to the next. So I can't tell you, my G's, just check about 5 millimeters from here and do that. No, it varies from one woman to the next. Okay, so basically, it can be, you can stimulate it by accident, and it's a matter of, to find it is difficult, but what they basically say is, if you're actually searching for it, right? You want to put the finger. Should I do this? Should I talk about this on this show? Is that allowed?
We've done our due diligence. Go right ahead, Doc.
Okay, so they say you have to be in a relaxed position, right? And as you basically, it's kind of like you have to kind of masturbate, but you insert your finger in the vagina, or you can use a vibrator, right? And then, but if you're going to use your finger, you're basically pointing your index finger towards the navel or the belly button, right? And you're doing a cum motion. So like when you take your index finger and you say "come here," like that.
Yes, yes.
So you're doing right. So you're doing that motion, pointing towards your belly button.
Okay.
All right. And you're not trying to hit a specific. It's not a button. Let me say that again. It's not a button, but it's how you feel when you make that motion. It's the feeling that you get.
Okay. Kermit, I see that we have a caller on the line.
Oh, shoot.
Good afternoon, caller.
I'm pleasant. Good afternoon, madam.
How are you, sir?
Oh,
I is fine. I would like you to clarify that question for me. In regards to sex being something that we all as adults say is the best thing God gave to man.
We're having a difficulty hearing that caller. But we're going to read this text, Dr. Graham. This is the scenario. A Christian couple enjoying a healthy sex life. One partner dies, but the other partner still wants to experience sexual pleasures within the confines of their spiritual beliefs. Ask the doctor if stimulating oneself is equally effective as having sex from a health perspective. Do you understand that question, Dr. Graham?
Yeah. Oh, that's a little I know that most, or if not all, religious groups that really preach against masturbation. So now, that's a really funny thing. If they are used to their partner and having sex and so forth, I would try and abstain if I could. until you find the right person to marry and be able to resume sexual activity. Now, using masturbation to satisfy that until that person comes along, I think that is really, and especially if the person is a Christian, you have to be convicted along those lines. So that's a kind of difficult question to answer.
Okay.
I think for the person themselves, they would need to know where they stand in terms of their religious beliefs and how that affects what they believe and masturbation. So I don't think I'm the good person to ask that one too, but that is my opinion.
All right, Dr. Graham, this next texter reads, great show. You could have this same show for the entire week. This next texter reads, Dr. Graham, I want you to give me the number. Dr. Graham, I want you to give me the number. I have plenty questions to ask, and I can't ask it through the text. I need to look you in your eyeball and ask you some questions from a male perspective. Oh, Dr. Graham, the people want to talk to you. Okay. So this next question, Dr. Graham, you can tell me if this you can speak to, but this texter reads, Dr. Graham, as a female of a particular age and in a certain age demographic, can you please explain to me if vaginal rejuvenation is something that I could acquire? I am 43 years old and I have 4 children. I've seen it on all of the talk shows. I've seen it on Botched, and I want to know, can we have sexual vaginal rejuvenation in New Providence? Is that service offered? That's a long text. Dr. Graham?
Oh, wow. Okay, vaginal rejuvenation basically is an umbrella term where you could have a range of procedures, either that's given by a gynecologist or a plastic surgeon to basically reduce the diameter for the vagina. Basically, like women like to say, make me feel younger. So when you're younger, you're tighter, you're tighter. And
what if you didn't have? What if you didn't have vaginal birth? Are you still tighter? Because you know that the next question that I'm going to read to you is,
the vaginal birth. Yes, the vaginal birth. I mean, if you had a cesarean section, then you will be tighter than somebody who had. I think she said she had 3 or 4.
She has 4. She says 4.
Right. So all of these, can cause you to become a little lax, a little wider. And as you go and approach menopause, of course, that has an effect on it also. Okay. Now, vaginal rejuvenation can come in several different ways. The one that I don't even know if I want to say this, but that I have in my office basically uses almost like ultrasound waves to help with tightening. The machine is called, and what it does is that it helps to tighten the vagina by giving pulses of sound waves along the vaginal canal. That is one way. Of course, you also have where the vagina itself can be tightened, almost like in a procedure where you can actually, so for some persons who have had maybe a hysterectomy, and as you get older, like everything kind of hangs, you can buttress up everything. You can do it that way. Or there's several different ways that you can achieve or try to achieve vaginal rejuvenation. It's not the service is not offered by a lot of people here, but I think there are a few gynecologists that may offer that service.
Okay, this texter is responding to another texter, and this texter is saying, is this person dead? And is she asking if she can, what year is this? 1840? I think based on the texter and the fact that this texter may be, maybe religious in some aspect, and they want to preserve the sanctity of what they had in this Christian domain and their beliefs, perhaps that's why they may have asked that question.
And that is the reason why I didn't want to go into much detail, because I know that it's done, and other persons have their religious beliefs, and that's their beliefs.
This texter, I would love to have a forum where I could meet some of these texters, because just as the texter think it, so does he text me. And so this text says, a great show as usual. Tell Dr. Graham that these women in Nassau have plenty mileage. I can't read the rest of this texter. Say I would just know that we appreciate your texting, and I want you to keep sending me exactly what it is that you're thinking. This is your last question, Dr. Graham, because at the top of the hour we go into another topic, Bahamas. And so this is your last question. Is there any evidence that sex toys in general cause sex to be less likely satisfactory because they build up the tolerance to stimuli and a toy is limitless versus a real male? Do you think it's a psychological thing, Dr. Graham, because a toy has been introduced and the toy may replace the actual man or woman? Because now we don't know if this is a man or a woman. This may be a polyamorous relationship. This may be a homosexual relationship. We do not know. And we have to be inclusive of everyone. So do you think that toys replace human contact?
It can. I mean, it a lot of persons use it and swear by it. But the whole thing is that, especially if you are trying to achieve an orgasm, and one of the ways in which you do that is to stimulate the clitoris. So a man or a male can do that as well. I mean, it's the same motion. A vibrator gives kind of like the same motion, and it's stimulating the clitoris and the clitoral network. So it's kind of doing the same thing. Now, I'm not saying that, oh yeah, we could replace men by just using a vibrator or the rolls, as you were saying, but basically the action is the same. Now, whether you want to use an actual man to do that action, or you want to use a device to do that action, it's up to the person.
Okay, Dr. Graham, please don't hang up. We have a caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the line.
Good afternoon. I want to congratulate you all for being. It happens such a interesting topic. Even as little children, you find little children masturbating, and sometimes they feel like something's wrong with them, but it's just natural. But parents need to make sure when their children lock up in these rooms, make sure they're reading a book. Monitor them because they're experimenting.
Yes.
And let them know it's natural what they're doing, but they shouldn't be scared and all that. But teach them and make sure take good care of your children. Watch over them. They're very precious. Good job, ladies. Good job.
Thank you so much, caller. Dr. Graham, this is another text. One moment, please. Dr. Graham, I find that a lot of ladies in my chat groups are talking about different organisms or organ cleansers. Do you see lotions, perfumes, or soaps for your private area?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The vagina, the Lord and his infinite mercy created. Thank you, Lord. No, the vagina has a way to clean itself. All right. Now, I know a lot of women come to my practice because they have what we call bacterial vaginosis, which is the change in the pH balance of the vagina. And a lot of women have that because they feel as though after their periods, they have to douche. So they use douches and all sorts of, what they call it, Summer's Eve and all the feminine sprays and so forth. And, but the thing is, the vagina cleans itself. And if you have an odor or something after the period or at any time, then you need to seek a gynecologist as opposed to just trying to clean from the inside, because it may be something a bit more sinister than what you think. And yes, it may probably smell nice. You know, they always say you smell like flowers and all that stuff, but that is not the best thing for you, especially if it's going to change your pH balance. And in doing so, the vagina has bacteria that does that for you, the good bacteria in the vagina. So when you use some of these things, you're washing away, or you're taking out some of the good, we call it commensals, the good bacteria that helps to keep the vagina fresh and clean. Okay. So you're washing and taking away all of those. So no, I do not agree with that.
Okay, Dr. Graham, this is our absolutely final question. We're at the top of the hour bringing in Dr. Joseph, but this is my final question for you. This texter says, what is the remedy for wives who are awake several times during the night for sex? How do they recover? I'm not sure if it's the husband who needs to recover or the wife, but the wife seems to be up several times at night for sex. What does that mean? Is her sex drive too high? Talk to us, Dr. Graham. Tell me what you think.
Okay, so who is up several times for sex? The man or the woman?
The texter didn't make it clear. He or she didn't make it very clear. The question reads, what is the remedy for wives who are awakened several times during the night for sex? Mm-hmm. How do they recover? I'm not sure what that means. I'm wondering if maybe this is a male texter.
Okay, well, if it means in terms of, I'm missing out on my sleep, then it'll be good probably. If this is a woman texting, then it'll probably be good for, you can't even monitor the sex act like that, but I'll just say get a very good vitamin. Get a very good vitamin. Make sure your diet is pretty good. Get a good multivitamin. Maybe do some smoothies that are high in vitamins. You just need energy. And I would be quite honest, when you don't have enough sleep, that really puts a lot of stress on the body, on stress just overall. And sleep is very important. But also too, sex helps with sleep.
Sex helps with sleep.
I mean, yeah, you sleep better after that. So it's really good at helping with sleep. That's one of the benefits of sex. So
sleep.
Pardon me?
Sleep.
Yeah. So sexual activity is also like exercise. So it helps in that area, and that helps with sleeping too. So
It's been interesting, Dr. Graham. It's been very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, within the sound of my voice, we have had Dr. Graham on with us, 96.9 Guardian Radio, fresh news, smart talk all day. Now, at the top of the next hour, we're going to be talking about abortion rights in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Dr. Graham, it has been a pleasure having you with us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Sit down.
believe in relationship banking. We take pride in getting to know our clients. You have access to knowledgeable, approachable ambassadors and financial coaches so that we can recommend the best product for you. At Fidelity, we care about you. From your financial health to your physical health, we can relate to you because we're just like you. Come and start your relationship banking experience with us today. Visit us online at fidelitygroup.com, visit any of our branches in Nassau or Grand Bahama, or phone 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 for Freeport.
Time will bring the real end of our trial. One day there'll be no remnants, no trace, no residual fear lands within you. One day you won't remember me. Your face will be the reason I smile, but I will not see what I cannot have forever. I'll always love you. I hope you feel the same. Oh, you played me dirty, your game was so bad. You toyed with my affliction, had to fill out my prescription. Found the way I'ma be, I had to set you free. Away from me.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kendany Campbell Moss, and we're here on Guardian Radio 96.9, Fresh News, Smart Talk all day. We are joined for this second hour with Dr. Joseph. She comes to us as a pharmacist, a wellness coach, and a speaker. She's international, ladies and gentlemen, and she's going to talk to us and with us this afternoon basically about wellness as it relates to the mind, as it relates to sex, and what are the views on abortion and how it translates to what happens here in the Bahamas. Abortion is termed as the termination of a pregnancy by removal or expulsion of an embryo or fetus. Now, last week, as we were listening to the news, the health minister made this comment that there is no abortion position. The health minister is mum on the government's stance towards this very controversial issue. Now, Bahamas, what is your view? Why are we still even talking about a woman's right to choose? Roe versus Wade has happened many, many years ago in the United States of America. There's been no constitutional legislation that's set in law here that says yay or nay, other than what we have on the books. And what we have on the books is that abortion is illegal. But does that mean that it doesn't happen? What happens in the case of marital rape? What happens in the case of rape in general? What happens in the case of incest? This first texter out of the gate reads, so we don't have marital rape laws and abortion is illegal. This means there may be a lot of unplanned and unwanted children being born. Dr. Joseph, are you with us? Dr. Joseph? Can she hear me, Kermit? Let's try her again, Kermit. I'll tell her to reconnect. I'll tell her to reconnect. All right, so let me read these texts as we try to get Dr. Joseph on the line for reconnection. This texter reads, it is completely within my right to do whatever it is that I need to do with my body. Yes, he and I may have made this child together, but who says that we're financially or mentally ready to take on this responsibility? Okay. This texter reads, if you had the opportunity to have sex with someone and you didn't take the right precautions, there's also the after morning pill. Abortion may not be the only way to go. This next text reads, what about actually giving the child up for adoption? Why can't we think of that? Okay. All right. I mean, that may be a possibility. We never know. That could be it. Do we have Dr. Joseph on the line, Kermit?
Kennedy, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Dr. Joseph.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing good, enjoying this conversation.
It has been.
The first hour was a little bit heated.
It was very interesting, wasn't it?
Yes, you're gonna need a part 2 for that for sure.
I think I may need to have a male counterpart for that as well, because there are so many texts, and behind the texting, you don't know whether it's a male or a female, and you don't want to say the wrong thing. You just have to read the texts as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, Dr. Joseph, now you're international. You've seen the world from many different views. You've come up through the ranks. You know what it's like on the other side of the fence. Being international as you are, tell me what your overall view is in terms of a wellness perspective when it comes up to abortion.
So, as I was listening to some of the questions, Kendanique, I think the conflict that many of us are having, especially as Bahamians, being, and Dr. Miles Monroe used to say it a lot whenever he traveled, and I know you mentioned him earlier, and he's one of my favorite teachers as well. I think the issue that we're having is the Bahamas being a Christian nation. I think the conflict that we're having is whether we should do something because it's our conviction, or whether we should do something because God is asking us to do it. And so what I have seen being here in America, of course, is that, women having the right and still being able to choose what is good for them and choose for what is good for their bodies as well. Now, I think, Kennedy, can you read the question again? I think someone was saying something about, someone, putting the children up for adoption. So my question, honestly, what I would say to that is, and I know there are persons in my circle back home and also here, adoption is very difficult. Can you hear me?
I can. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So adoption is not as easy, but it is an option. But when it comes to abortion, the psychological, the impact on a woman's body alone is a lot. And so when we hear the word abortion, we automatically, most women, of course, and society in general, we condemn women who experience or, give up their children either for adoption or choose the abortion route because of whether it was sexual abuse, whether it was rape or whatever. But it's the impact alone on the woman that I think is really, really harsh. And that's why as Bahamians, we have not really adopted a global perspective as it relates to a woman choosing what to do with her body.
So Nina, Nina mentioned earlier, Dr. Graham mentioned earlier that these are choices that one must make, and that it's a personal one. But this texter says here, we are not talking about a woman's right to choose. We're talking about the baby's right to life. When does it become the baby's right to life? When is it not the woman's choice? And Dr. Joseph, in terms of a wellness perspective, right? When you talk about abortion, what happens in the regard if you know that the quality of life for this embryo, for this child, is going to be extremely diminished? Do you still bring the life?
You know what? From a medical and wellness perspective, Kendanique, I would honestly have to say yes, even though that child's life is going to be diminished, we still have to believe that from a wellness perspective, that even though the child's life or the quality of life, is going to be diminished, we still have to believe in the power of restoration. And that's why wellness is so important. And there are times where in the medical profession, we have what is called the benefits outweighing the risk. And that is the impact on the mother and the impact on the child as well. And so that's why when a woman is considering abortion, whether she's going to do it privately, whether she's going to a hospital or wherever she decides to go and, have this abortion performed, all of the benefits and the risk, and the benefits of the abortion needs to be discussed so that woman can decide to make a choice. But I would say from a wellness perspective, yes, even though the quality of life may not be what we would like it to be, that child still should have an opportunity to become literally full term, even though the quality of life will be reduced.
This texter reads here, I could not support any abortion outside of a medical risk or rape and incest until, in capital letters, there is some support for men because it is half the man's child. They should only be able to abort the child outside of those things. If the father gives his consent, children come after sex. It's normal. Your finances or whims doesn't come before a man's right to his child or the child's right to life. Now, does a man have a right over a woman's body? What are your views?
I would agree with the texter. It takes two to conceive. And one of the things that I think I was hearing from Dr. Graham in the conversation earlier, Ken Denique, I think a lot of, of course, we as human beings, we need to have sex. It's a part of life. But what we are not doing is talking. And so from a wellness perspective, yes, I remember one of my, what we call in the pharmacy world, rotations or internships, where my professor was sharing a study with us, whereas the ability for the woman not only to abort, but the emotional and psychological impact with the partner being there to discuss whether abortion was going to be ideal for the woman, that the women in these studies, that I think it was a University of England, that these particular candidates that were chosen in the study, they chose to not have an abortion because they had their partner there. And so from a wellness perspective, I do believe that men should be there to at least discuss and make the decision, even though it is left up to a woman, because it takes two to tango. It takes two to procreate and, and bring children, to life. So yes, I do believe psychologically and even spiritually that the men should be involved in this decision, whether the woman decides to say yes or no to the abortion procedure.
Okay. Do you think that we are living in a very archaic system where I still need a man's permission to tell me what it is that I'm doing with my body, even though we may have gone half and half?
I do still believe we're living in an archaic from this perspective, Ken Denique, and that is we are, as a society, we are much harsher. We are very, very harsh on women than we are on men.
Correct.
In that perspective. In that regard, a man can decide to have 2 to 3 children, going back to a biblical perspective, 2 to 3 children, not marrying the mother of their children. But when a woman does it, of course, we resort to all sorts of names and we stone, for lack of better words, we stone this woman and she's this and she's all. We degrade women for these decisions when she was not the only one that was there with having sex or, bringing this child into the earth. So I do think holistically, we are archaic and we condemn women when we need to hold men and women accountable for these actions when it comes to child rearing and family planning.
So I know that you're very, very Bible-based, Dr. Joseph, right? And I want to ask this question from a biblical perspective, from a morality perspective, and we may have to go to a break, so I'll give you time to lament on this question. From a biblical perspective and from a morality situation, when you sit down and you think of wellness as a state of mind, do you find that here in New Providence that a lot of times that cycles absolutely repeat themselves and a lot of things that we see are learned behavior? And how do we combat that? Kermit, do we have time for Doc to answer that question? Doc, you can go ahead and answer that question for us, please.
Okay. Yes. I do believe that cycles do repeat themselves. And when we say cycles, because we know we're living in an era, Ken Denique, where we repeat affirmations, and affirmations is really just saying something so that it becomes really ingrained in your psyche, your conscious and your subconscious state. But in the reality of it is that is the truth, that I believe cycles do continue themselves because we are not doing what we should be doing. And that is talking as family members. We're not talking. I remember specifically, and I'll use myself as an example. This was about prior to COVID, an aunt sharing with me, how she had been raped and, sexually molested by a loved one. And it was not until she realized spiritually how this was affecting her daughter, because her daughter came out, which is my cousin, and came out and shared this with her. I think the more, as we continue to hold on to these secrets, people are, leaving. This one is going to the grave. We are holding them on. We are holding on to these secrets. And what is happening is generational patterns and habits, even though they are curses spiritually, they are not breaking because we refuse to talk, because we're concerned about the disappointment. What is she going to say? What is the pastor going to say? What is all of these things, the disappointment, the shame, the unmet expectation, which is why we continue to harbor it. So the aunt doesn't talk, the grandmother doesn't talk, the mother doesn't talk, and now we have grandchildren. We have the younger generation, Gen Z and millennials, who are doing the same things because the previous generation refuses to talk, because what happens in this house stays in this house. And I think that continues to ride our communities in the Bahamas and also here in the U.S.
Doc, you just putting pure facts out there this afternoon. We're going to take a quick commercial break. I am Kendany Campbell Moss, your host on 96.9 Guardian Radio. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
We believe in relationship banking. We take pride in getting to know our clients. You have access to knowledgeable, approachable ambassadors and financial coaches so that we can recommend the best product for you. At Fidelity, we care about you. From your financial health to your physical health, we can relate to you because we're just like you. Come and start your relationship banking experience with us today. Visit us online at fidelitygroup.com. Visit any of our branches in Nassau or Grand Bahama, or phone 356-7764 in Nassau, or 352-6676 for Freeport.
Burger King Nassau is taking spice to new heights with the new Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwiches. Enjoy your choice of a flame-grilled Whopper or crispy chicken filet topped with chipotle sauce, guacamole, jalapenos, cheese, lettuce, tomato, all on a fresh potato bun. The new Baja Sandwiches at Burger King Nassau pack plenty of flavor, and with an ice-cold Pepsi and fries or onion rings, it's the perfect way to fill your day. The Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwich are only available at Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
What you want, baby, I got it. What you need, you know I got it. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come home. Just a little bit, hey, baby, just a little bit. Just a little bit, mister, just a little bit.
Good afternoon, and we're back with the Hit Back. It's 96.9 Guardian Radio, fresh news, smart talk all day. I am your host, Kendany Campbell Moss. I'm going to get straight to the text lines. Kermit, do we have a caller? Good afternoon, caller.
Again, great job. What happens is when we were growing up, when every one of the adults in the house was like drunk, they would go in their room and lock the door. Because I understand that they said that, well, Papa drunk right now, so Papa don't want to do nothing wrong. So therefore, a lot of incest happen when people are most of the time, I guess, intoxicated. So people should avoid different stuff, and especially guys sitting girls on their lap and all that. You know, guys assimilated. I mean, everyone is different, right? But prevention is better than cure. They say, cure. Some of your prevention is better than 1 pound of cure. Do well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have another caller, Kermit? All right. I want to read this text. Abortion is not only about the woman's body. We're talking about sex, the body of a child. Sex should be in the confines of marriage. This would greatly reduce unwanted pregnancies. We don't murder premature babies. Why would we murder a child in the womb? Oh, gosh, we have so many texts. Doctor, my friend, send me down to, she called the doctor's name. I can't read that out. I would have lost 2 nice children, a boy and a girl. They are taken care of me very well. My twins are so nice. My twins are going to be my best friends. My guy friend didn't want me to have the twins, but I still had them anyway. All right. This is a texter. You ladies are trapsy. I didn't say a man should trump a woman's right to her body. I was saying we focus too much on the woman's right while completely ignoring the man and the man's child's life. And that is absolutely crazy. Society tells men who don't want the child that they should have wrapped it up or had safe sex. Well, we should have said the same thing to women. How is it considered archaic when women make up 100% of the choice on abortion, but can't keep a child, but then are forced to take care of it financially? This next texter reads, if you want to have the baby, that's fine. But if I've already said to you, I'm not interested in having a baby, then that's entirely on you. Please don't try to take me to court. This texter is asking for the numbers. The telephone lines are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. And in order to text, and we're powered by BTC, it is 422-4796. Those are the numbers. Kermit, do we have a call on the line? Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
We're well, so how are you?
Yeah. Now, one of y'all used to word archaic.
Yes.
That's old-fashioned, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, I was looking in the dictionary and I was trying to pronounce it. Yeah. But what I'm saying, if you notice what is taking place now, because, I mean, abortion been around so long, which is abomination, you know, and you even see they're talking about marital rape, and then they're talking about gender equality, and all of those things are abomination.
Gender equality is abomination as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because gender, when you talk about gender, you're mainly talking about you're talking about transgender. That's what it's really all about.
Okay, all right. Caller, we definitely appreciate your call. Thank you so much. Thank you. Kermit, do we have another caller on the line? All right. Dr. Joseph, are you there? Dr. Joseph, are you there? Kermit, we have another call on the line. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm Kendany. I just had a thought to say with it. Two things. One, when it comes to the right of a woman to make the choice, she has all the say in terms of whether or not a child is brought to fruition. And like the person, the previous text you read said, if that is the case, and if a man says that he doesn't want so, and he has no choice in the matter. So if she decides she wants to go that route, then he should have the right to opt out. And the last thing that I want to say in that regard is that in all cases, especially in the cases where the people aren't married, I think that there should be DNA testing, because in too many cases, a lot of men are out there supporting children that have nothing to do with them.
Absolutely nothing. So do you think that sex in 2022 in New Providence should strictly be confined to married couples?
Yeah, but that's unrealistic.
It is.
It's not going to happen.
It's not.
I mean, that sounds good, but in most cases, people are having sex long before they even consider getting married, if they consider it at all.
I appreciate your time, caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, Kendra.
Kermit, do we have another caller on the line? All right, I'm going to read this text. Great show. I think that if a woman goes ahead without the opinion of a man, she will have to find out how she will pay for the child, because no woman will tell me when I want to have a child. Simple. That's archaic. All right. When your right to choose results in gestation of a life, I have to say life trumps choice. All right. This next texter says, Miss, I have a wife and I have a sweetheart. Oh, gosh. All right. We going down this road today already. Miss, I have a wife and I have a sweetheart. But I will let you know right now, if my sweetheart gets pregnant, she better know right off the jump, she better not have no baby. And don't come to me about this her baby and this her choice. Because I told you from the jump, I have a wife and what we doing is only a side thing. Okay. All right, texter. All right. I understand fully. All right. Dr. Joseph, are you there? No? Okay. So I will continue with these texts. This text reads, okay, that caller, I believe that caller was out of his mind. I believe in gender equality, but real gender equality, not this let's focus on women 1000% of the time. Everything important, trivial feminist type of equality. So what type of equality are you talking about? Are you talking about that gender equality bill that we had some time ago? Do we have a caller on the line?
Madam, how are you?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes. I am a bit confused.
Go ahead.
I would like to know, it appears to me, what I'm hearing, that this is a liberal movement trying to replace all the traditional values. Why?
That's a question directed towards me, caller?
That question directed to you, to both of you. There's a liberal force trying to replace all of the traditional values, the traditional values. I would like to know why and what is the motive. I'll hang up and listen.
No, don't hang up, caller. Don't hang up. I want you to stay on the line. Did he leave?
No, I'm here.
Okay. First of all, caller, it's not a particular part of an agenda for me. When we decide to do various shows on different radio stations, and most considerably 96.9, there are topics that are trending. Last week, Dr. Darville came on radio, on television, and he spoke about the fact that there's no real stance for the government in terms of what they're going to do about abortion. They're not saying anything about it. But on the books, abortion is illegal. And so as a trending topic, it was suggested that maybe we should have this topic brought up today. Okay. So it's not so much an agenda per se, because I can be quite honest with you, and I can bring my own personality into this. I am a Roman Catholic, and we do not believe in abortion, nor do we believe in contraception. So it's not my agenda to push, but it's merely us to open the dialogue, to have that conversation on all levels. So it's for the man to say his piece. It's for the woman to say her piece. And if we do or do not agree, we have the conversation about it.
Let me say this.
Yes, sir.
I am of the belief also this is a conspiracy. One, to emasculate the man. Two, to change the role. In this country today, there are men who are qualified to take care of their children, but there is no law in place where that father can give custody of his child. There is no law whatsoever. I have 2 daughters, no sons. And I love my 2 daughters, and I don't want no one to abuse them. But the law is biased towards men in this country. And I have a mother, and I have sisters. But I mean, for God's sake, we need to be fair and not being biased. Because guess what? The same grave that is being digged for a man, your son, your siblings, your loved ones would fall in that same grave. I think there is a conspiracy to replace all of the traditional values that this country once built on.
I would hope that does not happen, caller. I would really hope that does not happen, because some of us do hold true to the virtues of marriage, and some of our moralities are still intact. But even with that being said, this society that we live in has changed so drastically.
Madam, let me say this again.
Go ahead.
I am in an institution where I deal with men for more than 40 years.
Yes.
I've seen men cry just to gain or have some rights and custody to their children. Just last week, I talked to a young man who is paying private school fees. The mother has no interest in the child obtaining a good education. This man wants his child to obtain a good education, and the lady is interested in the cash cow. She is not interested in her own child obtaining an education. And this man cannot get custody of his child. That cannot be fair in this country. When we talk about gender equality, we need to balance the scale. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, caller. Kermit, do we have another caller on the line? Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm well, ma'am. How are you?
Wonderful. I often hear most men before the talk show and talk about more rights. Women having more rights than men. But there was a referendum.
And we voted.
We voted. And the gentleman just was on just now, and he said he deals with men. I wonder if he encouraged all those men to vote yes to that question. For equality.
I wonder, because I wonder if the scales will ever be balanced, because you can have a woman as a project manager, right? And you can have a man as a project manager.
Right.
And the statistics have shown that a male will be paid 40% more.
Men don't talk about that.
But we don't want to have that conversation.
Okay, and then he talked about how, example of the other party, the woman, wasn't so much interested in the child's education and more. See, that goes deep. He had two sides. I'm not giving no right or wrong.
Right.
But there's another side too.
And my thing is, when you were selecting your partner, did you not see the attributes of her thinking that you would be a cash cow before you had this relationship with her?
This is it. And then my point is, if you can't do it on your own and you feel like no justice is being paid, then let the state deal with it.
Correct.
Instead of taking it underneath your own understanding and coming on with, the man can't get this, the man can't do this. And I end again, I hope that same gentleman encourage all of those men he talked about, who he spoke to, when that question was asked.
What did they vote?
What did they vote? And it was equality for men, single men, the same as a single woman, the same power. But that question was rejected.
It very much
so
was.
Don't say nobody care about men. It was cared so much that it ended on a referendum as a question.
It surely did.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Kermit, do we have another caller? Good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, but you see, let me share all this, yeah? I want you to listen to me just for half a minute or so.
We can give you 30 seconds. We have 4 more callers on the line.
Yeah, well, in the book of Jeremiah 31:22 says, a woman shall compass a man. Now, compass means to plot a device together, to plan a scheme. That's what this thing is all about. You see the word of God? You can't do nothing with it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, caller. Let me read these texts. Awesome show, KC. While the audacity of that texter who is married and in having an adulterous affair, I almost threw up when he said the female who is in the affair with him should think more than twice by what she said. If she said she would become pregnant by him, only God knows what that man would do. I am totally disgusted. All of us are, I think. Good day. Those women voted against themselves in that process. Okay. All right, let's look at this. All right. The pay gap has been debunked ages ago by males and females. The type of gender equality I mean is simply laws and policies and procedures and societal norms that are actually fair to both sexes. A woman in most places can abort a child and the man has no legal right to stop it. Aside from the life being murdered, in the same society, the man may not want the child and he can't opt out and the law will still make him pay for it. It's very one-sided. All right. Yes, there is sometimes a bias in some courts, but I've seen men granted custody or at least joint custody. In order to get, this is another text, in order to get custody in New Providence, that woman has to be a complete disgrace and a derelict. The courts favor the women. All right, this is another text. Just because they had a referendum years ago doesn't mean the values and views are the same. Okay, all right. Dr. Joseph, we have another caller. Is it Dr. Joseph? Dr. Joseph, are you there?
Me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Dr. Joseph, it's getting a little steamy. You abandon ship.
I try not to because it's a little hot. I gotta come out. Right?
Listen, this kitchen, this grease popping right out. So, Dr. Joseph, now I know that you come from, Kermit, we have another caller? Dr. Joseph, let's take this call. Caller, Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. I don't know how I could get before the doctor, but I'm going to be humble as much as I could because, yes, some of us need to understand that there is a difference between man and male and woman and female.
Yes.
And don't try to, when you're talking about one, mix them both up because this earth is female, but it's not a woman. But I think what we should focus more on, the fact that, look, all we have is time and energy to deal with. And the amount of time you spend not dealing with time, somebody could just do that in 2 minutes if you just keep going in circles, blaming somebody for whatever conspiracy theory you want to come up with. That's fine. But focus on your time and use your energy to develop your environment, and there'll be no more conspiracies because the bubble you would live in would be yours. How about that?
I understand, caller. Okay. This, Dr. Joseph?
Yes.
Now, you know that you are based in complete spiritual, your spirituality and your belief in God is 100% with you. And from a female perspective, we're still on the point of abortion in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And I want to read for you exactly what it says as it relates to being on the books. The Bahamas Penal Code 315 says, whoever intentionally and unlawfully causes abortion or miscarriage shall be liable to imprisonment for 10 years. Kermit, do we have a caller on the line? Good afternoon, caller. Oh, okay. So, Dr. Joseph, the offense of causing abortion can be committed by causing a woman to prematurely deliver of a child with intent unlawfully to cause or hasten the death of a child. It doesn't give any ramifications as to whether the child is terminally ill or it could be a bad quality of life. It simply says the death of a child. You have been very, very clear in saying that in terms of biblical principles, the child should come forward and that we should have the conversation about how these children came to be. But I want you to answer this question for my texters. What happens in the event that you have this, you and I have already had the discussion, listen, I do not want this child, but you're steadfast in saying to me, I do want it. Whose responsibility then is it? Do you become a ward of the state? Is it then the country's responsibility? Whose responsibility is it after I would have said to you as the man, I do not want this child and I do not want this child with you?
You know, Kendanique, I know we've said it. We mentioned the word. And so, the word archaic, let's just call a spade a spade. Abortion is murder. That's literally what it is from a biblical perspective. If we had to break this down in simple terms, we're literally killing a fetus. That's literally what abortion is. And as you've shared earlier with your faith, that is my perspective as well. I myself, I'm waiting until the covenant and the sanctity of marriage to have children. Now, what I will say, Kendanique, is we're still, while that is the law and while that is, in the Bahamas that we are saying, okay, if a woman, has an abortion, that, we as a society or the government, right, our laws and rules is literally saying, okay, if this woman is having an abortion, she has an abortion, we're giving her 10 years of life. The thing that I am having a challenge with from a holistic perspective, Kendanique, is the hypocrisy and the double standards. That's the issue that I'm having, because we are okay with men doing as they please. We are okay with men having children. I mean, as you said earlier, and even with the caller who called in about, him being a married man and having a sweetheart on the side and telling this woman that he engaged in sexual intercourse with, if you have this baby, this is on you. And again, this is going back to accountability. And I say this when I speak, I say this when I coach my clients, Kendanique, I will say this until the day I die. Sex is for grown folks.
It is.
Okay? Sex is for grown folks.
I want to read the rebuttal to the texter who is clearly married. This is what he says in his text. I guess he was texting as you were speaking, Dr. Joseph, because he says here, Doctor, you speak about accountability, and I respect your views 100%. I am accountable in saying to you, I am a married man. We entered into this relationship. You knew that I was married. You know that I'm married because you know my wife. You and my wife work in the same building. You and my wife are sharing one man. I take care of what needs to be taken care of. You knew that I would never leave my wife. I'm saying to you, if you are having sex with me and I'm thinking that you're on the pill and you say that you are, the accountability then lies with you, because I've already told you not to have no baby for me, because at the end of the day, I'm leaving my wife. Is that not accountability, Dr. Joseph?
It's not accountability, because let's talk about the elephant in the room, Kendanique. Not only from an emotional perspective, and again, sex is for grown folks, not just because you can pay your mortgage or you over 18 or you can pay your own car note means you're an adult. People have to realize that sex was that it's not that God doesn't want us to take part in pleasure or have fun. He wants us to, but the thing is, spiritually and emotionally, Kendanique, as adults and even young adults under the age of 18, we are not prepared for the emotional and spiritual ramifications. Now, going back to this texter and the caller who is, speaking to the accountability, can we, right, as host and speaker, can we as a society, who is holding this man accountable for the adultery that he is committing on his wife? I understand what he is saying, where he said he told this woman, listen, before we lay down, before you take off your clothes, before whatever X, Y, and Z, wherever we were, I need you to understand that I am married. While we've already shared that the woman is being held accountable. But are we going to hold the adulterer? Are we going to hold this man accountable, knowing that he is breaking one law, not just abortion of this woman having the abortion, but let's talk about the fact that you are committing adultery. You are breaking covenant against your wife when you stood before hundreds or how many people at your wedding and you said, until death do us part, you will commit. So why is this woman, why is this side chick, why is the sweetheart being held accountable, but you are not facing the fact that you're living a lie and you haven't told your wife about this, but she is supposed to abort something that you consented in the act of sex? Let's call a spade, Ken Danique.
Listen, Dr. Joseph, I want you to know that this is bothersome to me because but not only are you not accountable for this, but if you're having sex with the sweetheart unprotected, what you doing with the wife?
Exactly. Right? It's like what exactly? And that's the thing. And I know from a medical perspective, and most people may or may not know this, but even if your partner is HIV positive, because I know in this day and age, a lot of us, we think HIV gone because COVID here. We think AIDS gone. We think gonorrhea gone. We think all that stuff in God but it's still here, right? What does that say about the character of the man, right? I think a caller earlier mentioned the difference between a male and a man. What does that say about the character? Because you can be gifted. I don't care if you live out west, if you live out east, Ken Danique, character will always trump your personality.
All day, every day.
What does that say about this man that knows? He's saying that the woman knows she's on birth control. Let's go back to statistics. We're going back to family life, if I remember, in high school, right? Birth controls are 99% effective. I have a colleague, Ken Danique, who was on the IUD. She got pregnant with twins. Okay? So God is always, and he does it. We see it. He will trump science. So when we lay down, and that's why I think from a holistic perspective, of all the subjects and the things we address and we allow our children to take, emotional intelligence can no longer be negotiable in our schools, because we need to be able to sit down. Can I really have sex with this person? Because if I have sex with this person, this condom may break. My birth control, I miss 3 days and I don't get a plan B after 72 hours. That plan B no longer works. What is going to happen? Is this person financially, emotionally, and psychologically ready to be a parent? Because after the baby shower, after the wedding, what is next? You have two adults now bringing a child into the world that did not ask to come here. Again, sex is for grown folks. But this person, and of course, you know, Ken Danique, adultery is very common. Very, very common, not just in the Bahamas, but around the world. But we have to hold each other accountable, because if I was with this man right now, literally, I would want him to have the conversation with his wife. What would his wife say, first of all, with the fact that he has been sleeping and committing adultery, and now you want your sweetheart to go and have an abortion? Listen, it's hot in the kitchen. I'm sorry.
The
It's
kitchen hot. The kitchen. We have a caller on the line. Caller, good afternoon.
Dr. Joseph, and you got all your stress off your chest. But the Bible says in Isaiah, there'll come a time when two women will cleave unto one man for their name. Look here, our Grammys used to like one man. No, we had like 10 Grammys back in the day liking one man, and they are churning all over the place. We need, if we go hit on this guy concerning having a sweetheart and all that, talk about homosexuals, that's abomination. Come on, everyone having... This one, the sister like the same guy. Come on, people.
Caller, thank you. Dr. Joseph, listening, New Providence, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The UN AIDS Secretariat's overview says the Caribbean is the second most affected region in the world after Africa, with an HIV prevalence of 1.6%. 1.6%. I think that's like those numbers are huge. Kermit, do we have another caller on the line? Caller, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Could I get on, please?
Go right ahead, sir. You have to turn your radio down, though.
Yes, I will right now.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I love this lady who's on. What's her name again?
The doctor or me?
The doctor.
You don't love me?
Yes, you too.
I mean, come on now.
No, I love her stand.
That's Dr. Joseph.
Dr. Joseph, continue to take the stand that you're taking because it's biblical, and I suppose you're a Christian also, right?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, she is. Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. Continue to take that stand. You know, you don't have to defend a lion. So you don't have to defend the word of God. You stand on the word of God, and God will always have your back. You'll be ridiculed and everything. But remember, God is on your side. If God be for us, who could be against us? So let's continue to stay faithful, continue to preach your word, the gospel, what God said about life. It is murder. I mean murder. And it's a sad thing. They don't have in this country that if a pregnant woman gets shot and died, they don't count that baby as a death, as double murder, which is wrong.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Caller, thank you. I just want to be true to my texters, and I'm not sure if I read this text or not, but I want to give everybody a level playing field here. I don't want to be gender biased. But this texter says, a man should have a say in whether a child is carried to term. If a woman goes against a man's wish, he should have the right to opt out. And in all cases, there should be DNA testing. But if you been there, if like you know what my mother says to me, aside from the fact that she had a conversation with me last week, she said, you said sex plenty time on this radio. I said, Mommy, I doing a job. You know, I had to humble myself, Dr. Joseph, because my mother said, you say sex plenty. I said, yes, ma'am. And that's all I said. But my mommy always says to me, and she's called me Kenra, I don't know why, but she say, your name wasn't gonna get called if you wasn't there. You been
Right.
there. You been there, Dr. Joseph. So why I have to why we have to test this baby? If
Yes.
you and me black alike and the baby look Hispanic-y, that's a new word. If the baby look Hispanic-y enough or like olive eyes, this go back 8 generations. This yours. Sign for that.
Yes.
Sign.
Yes. And Kennedy, can I say something
Sure.
in terms of the emotional impact of abortion?
Yes, I would love you to.
While we are looking, I think earlier when one of the callers who came in, basically speaking to the fact that, the Bahamas, honestly, I mean, even here in America, right, on the coin, on the dollar, in God we trust. But at the end of the day, everybody is choosing. That is one thing that God gives everybody is the gift of choice. And of course, what we reap, we sow. Now, when I say that, I'm speaking to the fact that it would, in a perfect world, it would be great for everyone to wait until they, until they get married to have children. But one of the things I remember this case so clearly because it was near and dear to me, Ken Denig. I had, this was my first year starting my doctorate program, and one of my roommates, she brought a friend to me who was in a theater major, and she basically said to me,
Oh, Dr. Joseph, they cutting us off. Dr. Dr. Joseph, I can need you to come back. If they call me to come back, I can need to bring you back.
Okay, yes, we can do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a wonderful 2 hours with you this afternoon. This has been your host, Kendany Campbell Moss, Guardian 96.9 Radio. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.